I have an opportunity right now to speak with Colonel Michael Waltz. He's also your congressman if you happen to live here in the state of Florida. He has the distinct, I don't even know if I could call it a pleasure, to serve in this House of Representatives that appears so dysfunctional. I know it's got to hurt your head sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, Joyce. Yeah, running a marathon isn't pleasurable, or going on a combat deployment, but it is. This country's worth it, and we'll fight through it.
I know you will. I was so touched by a segment I saw where you were in Ocala and, with one of the Trump bus tours or whatever, and you got to speak with this 100-year-old veteran. That guy was as sharp as I am.
Oh, he was incredible. His name is Major Jack Hallett, and we were actually at the President's Ocala rally, and the President recognized him in the crowd, and of course everybody just, stood and cheered, and it was just so special. He was a fighter pilot in World War II, flew over Normandy in the Battle of the Bulge, so this guy wasn't handing out toilet paper in Paris. He was the real deal. Got shot down twice, but just like that generation, every time he got shot down, he dusted himself off, got patched up, got in another plane, and kept going, Joyce. But I think the point that I wanted to make when bringing him on Fox News was these are the types of heroes our children need to be learning about in school, and we need to be celebrating as a country, not Hollywood actors that play heroes, or not athletes that kneel before the flag or during the national anthem. These are the kinds of heroes that allow us to wake up every day breathing free air, worshiping as we please, and make a better life for our children. And so it's really my honor to tell his story.
And that's why I am so grateful to have the first Green Beret and you sitting in Congress, and to have, guys like Sergeant Mast and Governor DeSantis, who've all worn the uniform of the United States military. There's a difference, and I see some new up-and-coming candidates, and I'm just hoping you can get more guys elected to office who have served, and gals.
Well, you've heard me tell this before, that in the 1970s, we peaked in Washington. 74% of the House of Representatives and Senate were veterans. Today, it's at 18%. And I think that record low in terms of veterans in Congress explains a lot of our record amount of dysfunction. I really do, because you know what? In combat, nobody cares about black, white, or brown. It's red, white, and blue. That's what the enemy's bullets care about, that's for sure. Right. And you figure out how to get the job done and move forward, or really bad things happen. We just don't have that mentality here. But we need more veterans back in at all levels, at local level, state, federal. I tell them all the time at VFW halls and elsewhere, you're not done serving just because you came home. Get back out there, serve your community, serve your country, until the Lord takes us. I just think we need that mentality back in Washington.
I agree. And at least if you weren't able to serve, or for one reason or another, you should have the respect that so many of us have for the military, instead of this sort of, the elites in Hollywood, they look down upon the military like as if it's your last chance because you couldn't make it in anything else. And it's the antithesis. When I meet guys like you and that veteran you were talking about, the major, you could and have proven you could do anything, but you chose to defend your country.
Well, that's right. It's all volunteer service now. Everybody who signs up knows, that they're probably going overseas in harm's way. But, you remember that teacher, I think it was in San Diego, who was telling their students that only losers who can't make it, go into the military, and just shows the level of ignorance now. I mean, you have doctors, lawyers, accountants, mechanics, researchers. You really run the entire gamut in the military that's supporting the warfighter and keeping us free. Yeah. But the other thing, Joyce, is you don't have to wear a uniform to serve. Right. Do inner city tutoring, or rural medicine, or elderly care, or Peace Corps. So I think that's just really selfish, lazy individuals who kind of take that mentality rather than putting others first and taking a servant leadership, kind of role in life. But, that doesn't surprise me. Coming from some, but I just hope we need to get that mentality back. And that's why one of the things I'm pushing for is a return to national service. The Israelis do it, and I think we should too.
Yeah. Well, the state of Florida, your home state, my home state, had the distinct, I don't even know what to call it, experience of the vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, going through the state. I'm looking at pictures of the various events. I mean, it looks like she was the, radio personality at a used car lot in half of these. There's nobody there.
Yeah, the rally in Orlando had 50 cars honking their horns in approval. It was just bizarre. I just wish she would just stay in California, honestly. And if we look at what's at stake in just a few days, you could have the senator from California sitting there as the vice president, telling Biden what to do and what to sign, and Nancy Pelosi from California, running the Congress, telling Schumer what to do. So they want to make the country look like California, where you have rolling blackout, poor policy, poor governance. People are leaving in droves. Businesses are leaving in droves. And, like Venezuela and other places around the world, a once thriving, ecosystem of freedom and liberty and growth getting ruined by just poor policy and poor governance. And we cannot have her trying to make the rest of the country, and certainly not Florida, looking like California. My two neighbors are from California. I said, your two new neighbors, I said, you're absolutely welcome here, but don't bring your bad voting habits with you.
Exactly.
Leave those behind. But it turns out they were escaping, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I have a T-shirt that says, don't bring your New York votes down here with us. Because I'm a former New Yorker, and I get to wear that, and nobody can assault me. But I have one other question. Part of what's going on in the amendments that we're looking at here in the state of Florida really would turn us into California. One of them is for minimum wage, which you and I both know will destroy the growth of businesses. Yep. And the other one is this top two vote getters in a primary to run off at the general election. You know what happens in states like California where you have that? You got two Democrats running against each other.
Yeah, that's right. It ends up excluding voices and centralizing power. But on the minimum wage piece, the $600 a week federal supplement to unemployment that basically helped people, make more for being unemployed than they were being employed. That's $15 an hour. That wasn't a magic number.
Right.
So they've been pushing this narrative for years, and you're absolutely right. It'll end up just causing inflation. It hasn't worked where they've tried it. And business. I was a business owner as well. And, that additional labor cost is going to come from somewhere, and that means you're going to lay people off and tell those that you are now being forced by the government to pay to do more.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you're going to have to lay off others.
Right.
It's terrible policy.
And we have a history of higher minimum wage than even the federal minimum wage here in Florida. But what happens is if you have an entry-level wage forced like that, people who are currently making $15 an hour are going to need to be increased to $20 an hour. So you really cripple these businesses when you do this.
Well, and Joyce, the thing, it distorts labor markets. Things are a lot more expensive in, say, downtown Miami than they are in the Panhandle, or in New York or LA than they are in Iowa or West Indiana. And so it completely distorts labor markets. It throws things out of whack. It's typical top-down government socialist style regulation that just hasn't worked anywhere around the world. And there's a reason that entrepreneurs come here to take risks and reap rewards and to innovate and grow the most amazing businesses in the world. But if we start having this type of government intervention, it's gonna ruin that, and the capital, the innovation entrepreneurs will go elsewhere.
Absolutely. One final, question: is there any chance that there's going to be a bill coming out of this House before the election that will give relief to some of these businesses and individuals?
Yep, the Senate is introducing today. This is what really just gets me so damn fired up. There's $135 billion. I mean, that's almost the budget of the entire United States Army still sitting in the PPP account. All Nancy Pelosi has to do is say, businesses, you're still hurting. This has gone on far longer than we initially anticipated. You can take another bite at the apple. That's all she has to do. A one-page bill. The Senate's introducing that today, PPP only, helping people stay on small business rolls rather than unemployment rolls. And yet she is going to continue to take this my way or the highway, all or nothing approach, all of our liberal progressive policies that have nothing to do with COVID, or nobody gets any help. And it's politics at its worst. You talked about being frustrated and difficult because I'm hearing from family businesses, small companies every day that are going under permanently, but for her to just say, okay, we could at least have PPP and we can debate all the other stuff later. But I don't think she's going to do it, Joyce.
No, I don't either. She's the Eva Peron of America these days, and unfortunately, I'm crying for America. But I'm not because
really,
we don't.
It's really a shame.
Yeah, not because we don't have good representatives coming out of this state, because I'm pretty proud of a lot of you. So, just keep up the good work. I appreciate it. I was talking to the Deputy Secretary of Energy, Menzies, this morning, and he's down here in Florida, gloating about Dematec, one of the companies that became the #1 surgical mask maker right here in Florida. And these are the things that make Florida great. And I'm just so fearful. I mean, I'm not really fearful. I believe the president will win, but gotta get the House back. You've got to get the House back.
It's about turnout. Well, I think we're in good shape, Joyce, very quickly in flipping to the 2 House seats in South Florida. Florida Hispanics, Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, they don't take kindly to socialism. They actually have suffered and have people suffering under it. And I think we'll defend another in West Florida. We're going to keep Florida red. And I told you before, I have the flwarriors.com. Every dollar goes out to all of those candidates out there. We're going to keep Florida red. We're going to get the House back and move this country forward. But the last thing we need is Kamala Harris coming here preaching to us about how great it is in California when half of California is leaving for Florida and Texas.
Exactly. Thanks so much. Always appreciated, Colonel, talking to you.
Please, everybody, get out and vote. Everybody who ever thought you knew, get out and vote. Vote for this president and keep Florida red. Thanks, Joyce. I appreciate it.
You take care. Thank you, sir.